Alright, here we are back again with some Turnip Boy. I'm booting the game up right now. What was I gonna say? Yeah, so we're doing Friday today, or Saturday today. Let me just load it up. Okay, I think there we go. And boom, we should be live. Hello? You broken? Oh, fuck, I think it's broken. Ha, shit. Well, we're broken this week. Oh boy, I have to do this by hand. Oh, isn't this so much fun? I have no idea why we're broken this week. Oh, no. Look at that. Isn't that crazy bananas? What? Fuck. Whatever, I cannot be bothered to fix it if I'm being honest. I'd probably have to shut everything down, and that sounds like such a fucking hassle. So, boom, this is what you're stuck with. I don't know why I'm broken. I don't have a SIU tech support. I actually do think I know how to fix it. I just would have to shut everything down. But that's such a pain in the ass. Ah. Whatever. So, this week, yeah, like I was saying, we're back. Is this boss still invisible? You know, I've been really enjoying this game. I know it has some frame rate problems. I know we've encountered some other bugs. Honestly, none of it's really bothered me, except for this fox. That's still invisible. This is the only bug that has bothered me. Like, the frame rate slowing down, I can deal with that. I can deal with bad frame rate. The fox being invisible, though, sucks. Because it's not... At least it doesn't feel like an easy boss fight. There's a lot going on. That's what, the third time it's beat us? So this week... But other than that, it's a great game. And I know the developers did say they're working on a bug fix. So I look forward to that. This week, we have some Xbox stuff that honestly is more important next week, but we're going to talk about it this week. The Switch put out their sales figures for last year, right, for quarter 3. So we have those to talk about. And we have Direct predictions. There was a part of me that thought we were going to get a Nintendo Direct this week, or this month. Or, yeah. There was a part of me that was like, oh, we're going to get a Nintendo Direct soon. I'm kind of surprised it didn't happen next week, or this week. But if it didn't happen this week, that means it's probably going to happen next week. So I think that makes the most sense. So I wrote like a bunch of Direct predictions, like, oh god, probably a month ago now. And I've just kind of been sitting on them, waiting to talk about them until, you know, we were in February and a Direct was announced. And while a Direct has not been announced, I'm still going to do them anyways. We've got some WIBE stuff, nothing major. Like, yeah, nothing major. And then we have Moon Girl. The second season of Moon Girl did come out. I binged it. Could not be bothered to binge Echo. I watched the first episode and was like, this is fine, I guess. And I haven't touched it since. But Moon Girl came out. Oh boy, you better believe I was there. And I was excited. And yeah, so we've got that to talk about, because, yeah, I've got, I'm not going to say a lot to say on it, but I do have some things to say. I did enjoy it. And then, yeah, I think that's it for the night. Should be a pretty simple, pretty straightforward night. All right. Come in. So, I guess our first thing to talk about is there was a thing this week about Xbox. Right? Xbox, a few weeks ago, I don't know if we talked about this. I want to say we did, though. But there was a rumor that Hi-Fi Rush was going to be coming to Nintendo Switch. and maybe also PlayStation, definitely Nintendo Switch. And honestly, that makes perfect sense. Hi-Fi Rush is a really good game. I think it would fit really well on Nintendo Switch. It would not be the first Xbox game to come to Nintendo Switch, right? Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps are on Switch. Cuphead is on Switch. I swear there's a third example. I guess GoldenEye, Minecraft, those are your third examples. But right, there are plenty examples of games on that are owned by Xbox that are on Nintendo Switch. So I think it makes perfect sense that Hi-Fi Rush is one of them. And we got some more of those rumors this week. So all the stuff about Hi-Fi Rush, still seemingly true. Right, that's probably... I would not be surprised if that gets shadow dropped, like, next week. And on top of those rumors, there was talk of, I guess people data mined the game. And in the data mine, there is a PlayStation shirt and a Nintendo Switch shirt. So that's pretty hard evidence. I want to say there had also been talk about it being rated on PlayStation. I know there was some PlayStation rumor, right? So those had been what was being talked about. But then this week, a news report came out that, so The Verge put out a report that says Bethesda is considering bringing Indiana Jones and the Great Circle to PS5. Hi-Fi Rush announcement for non-Xbox platform is also expected within the coming weeks. A new multiple platform approach for certain Xbox games is emerging. Inside Microsoft. We're told with the company weighing up which titles will remain exclusive and others that will appear on Switch or PS5 in the future. Indiana Jones to be part of this new wave of multi-platform games. According to The Verge, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is tentatively targeting a December 2024 release date for Xbox and PC versions. A PS5 release could launch months later. So that was kind of, that was the rumor going on. Also, along the same time as this rumor, there was, right, because it's Bethesda, there was also talk about Starfield coming to PlayStation. Because, Skyrim sold really well on, all systems. So it makes sense to try to put Starfield on all those systems as well. Even though Starfield is not as popular as Skyrim, right? That makes sense. And I have seen so many different takes on this. There are some people who think this is great. There are some people who are treating this like the death of Xbox. Oh my god, this is Xbox selling out. Give me a second. Oh my god, this is Xbox selling out. Oh my god, I can't believe Xbox would do something like this. They're turning their backs on all their loyal fans to just get some of that PlayStation money. Like, come the fuck on, people. You gotta be fucking kidding me. So first off, I have to of course bring up the fact that all Xbox games also launch on PC. Right? Any game Xbox puts out exclusively also comes to PC. Starfield, Indiana Jones, the other game Hi-Fi Rush, they're all on PC. I think they're all on... Are they all on Steam? I don't know about that, but I know they're on PC. This is not... Right, that technically counts as another console. I don't think Xbox doing this is like a big betrayal to the fans, especially because they've done this before. Specifically with the Nintendo Switch. Right? Like I mentioned at the top. Ori and the Blind Forest, and its sequel, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Cuphead, Minecraft, GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie, all Xbox exclusive games. Well, okay, technically Nintendo owns like half of GoldenEye. The legal rights there are very complicated. But right, the rest of those are all games that Xbox owns that they put on Switch because, it makes sense. It makes sense to try to get that Nintendo Switch money, especially because the market Nintendo appeals to and the market Xbox appeals to are two very different markets, right? Like, Xbox is more in your traditional, like, console gamer thing, Whereas Nintendo Switch appeals to, you know, a more family-friendly audience, a more casual audience. In games like Cuphead's hard, but, you know, graphically it appeals to that casual audience. Ori and the Will of the Wisp is a Metroidvania that greatly appeals to Nintendo's audience. The other examples I use, Cuphead, Ori, Banjo-Kazooie, of course, is an N64 game. Right, they make sense. And I feel like Hi-Fi Rush will fit in great amongst those games. Right, Hi-Fi Rush's art style, its rhythm-based take on the genre, I think it'll all work really well on Switch. I think I said it at the time, but if not, I'll say it again. I think Hi-Fi Rush makes perfect sense to be on Switch. It coming to PlayStation was also a bonus. I know typically PlayStation does not want Xbox working on games for their system. Right? Like, if you don't, like Minecraft, for example. There is a Xbox, you know, specific version of Minecraft. There is a Switch specific version of Minecraft. There is not a PlayStation 5 version of Minecraft. There's a PS4 version of Minecraft that you can play on the PS5. There is not a PS5 version of Minecraft. And that kind of sucks, because the PS4 version is by far the worst version. And it could really use with an update. Like, Minecraft on Switch lags, but the PlayStation version just has so many other weird problems, and it's so dark as well. Like, for some reason, the brightness on Minecraft PS5 edition is so fucking dark. Like, even turning brightness up all the way doesn't really fix it. It's super annoying. So, right, the one weird thing is PlayStation. But, you know, I think that Microsoft sees that they can make money from PlayStation. They might as well do it. They're already putting their games on PC. You might as well just make that money. Do what PlayStation is doing with PC. Because if you've been paying attention to what PlayStation does, PlayStation will put a game out on their console, and then about a year later, usually it's about a year later, they will then port... Actually, it might be 2 years later, now that I think about it. Eventually, after PlayStation has felt like the game has made all the money it can on the console, they will then port it to PC to make any of that PC money. Makes perfect sense, right? If you've already made all the money, and not like all the money, but you know, like if you've made like 95% of the money you will make from your system on your system, why not put it on PC? You know, as a business strategy, it kind of makes sense. You know, Xbox doing the same thing. Because I have to assume that Indiana Jones is going to stay version exclusive. Or it's going to stay exclusive for a limited time period. I would not be surprised if they do the year thing. So, right, Indiana Jones comes out in December, and then next year in December, it comes to PlayStation. If next year in September, Starfield comes to PlayStation, I think that would also make perfect sense. Yeah, no, a lot of people are like freaking out, like, oh my god, this is totally Xbox turning on their fan base. No, it really isn't. Like, again, PlayStation does that. If Nintendo were to do this, that would be a big shock. Because outside of a few unique mobile games, Nintendo has never done anything like that before. Would I be against Nintendo doing something like this? I don't know. Like, I think I would be fine with it. Especially because I would love to see what certain Nintendo games look like on better hardware. I'm specifically talking about Zelda games. I'd also love to see how Scarlet and Violet run on like a Xbox Series X. I think that would be very interesting. Do I think Nintendo will ever do that? No. No, I do not. But yeah, no, I think this is a perfectly sensible move for Xbox. I don't think this is some big betrayal of Xbox games. No. A lot of people, I feel like, are blowing this completely out of proportion, and I think it's perfectly fine. Like, honestly, this ain't as big of a deal as everyone's making it out to be, at least in my opinion. The other thing is, for many years now, I have said that if any of the three main console manufacturers, Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox, were to drop out of the console wars, I feel like it would make sense for it to be Xbox. But specifically, my idea has always been Xbox, right? Microsoft dropped out of the console wars. They're no longer making Xbox, but instead, or they're no longer making like Xbox Ones, like, you know that. But instead they rebrand the Xbox as a type of PC. You know how like you have brands like Alienware or other examples I can't think of? Right, you know how you have like specifically PC manufacturers who make like specifically like gaming PCs? I could see Microsoft rebranding Xbox as a style of PC. Because, you know, Microsoft already creates Windows. You know, no matter what, if you're buying a PC, you're buying into their ecosystem. Unless, of course, you're using Linux. So, I could see, I think that would make sense. I think it would make sense for them to do that. The question is, will they actually do that? I don't know. But I that's always been, if I ever saw Xbox doing something like that, I think that would make the most sense. Right? That Xbox shifts its brand to a type of PC. But yeah, no, I'm actually fine with all this. Right? Will I play Hi-Fi Rush on Switch? Actually, there's a decent possibility. Right? Even though I have an Xbox now, I might actually pick it up on Switch. Will I play Starfield on PS5? Probably not. No, it's a definite no. Would I have bought an Xbox Series X if I had known that a year after release it would be coming to the PlayStation? Probably not. I probably could have waited a year on Starfield. But, you know, it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't think this is as big as everyone else thinks it is. Right? That this is some big betrayal. I see the logical progression here. Right? Plus, in theory, does this force PlayStation to be better with their games? Because now they're competing against Xbox on their own systems? Right? Because, like, one of the big things this year is that PlayStation doesn't have that many exclusive games. Like, they have Final Fantasy VII, Helldivers, Stellar Blade, and, like, one other thing. They don't really have that many exclusives this year. So, you know, they kind of need to take all the right? If Xbox is giving them a game, right, that would help them out. So, yeah. What else? Anything else with the Xbox thing? But I do, so, okay, so to end off the story, eventually Phil Spencer came out and put out a tweet about this. He said, "We're listening and we hear you. We've been planning a business update event for next week. We're looking forward to sharing more details about the vision for the future of Xbox. Stay tuned." So, because, you know, basically every day it was getting worse and worse. Right, more information was leaking out. So, right, Phil Spencer just officially came out and was like, you know what? To stop all the speculation, we're just going to do an official event. Was this always the plan? No idea. Totally might have always just been the plan to do it next week. But the fact that they did like a developer direct 2 weeks ago, and the fact that there's probably going to be a Nintendo Direct this week, probably not, but you never know. You never know. But yeah, well, I'm definitely curious to see what Xbox is going to say. But I do think a lot of these rumors are true. I actually think it would be kind of weird if they weren't. Right? Like, especially with just how much with how much information has come out. Yeah, no, because, alright, I mentioned The Verge. They're the story I read. There have been plenty of other people who have backed this up. So, yeah. So our next story is specifically comes from the developers Motion Twin and Evil Empire Studios. So, Motion Twin, if you don't know, makes a game called Dead Cells. Dead Cells is one of my favorite games of all time. I'll fully admit it. I think the year it came out, I placed it at my number 7 game of the year that year. But then the following year, so it came out in 2018, 2019. Let's just say it came out in 2018. I then in 2019 put 50, 60 hours into it, which isn't an insane amount, but for me it is. And I just had such a great time with it. I'm not very good at it. I definitely, once you get to a certain level of Dead Cells, right, once you get the difficulty up high, oh shit, that's a lot of money. Once you get the difficulty up high enough, I can't even, oh my god. I remember the first time I just put on one Dead Cell, or whatever they're called. I made it all the way to the final boss on my first run, and then he just absolutely kicked my ass. And I was stuck like that for the next I don't want to say, I'm going to say 20 runs. It was probably less than that. But god, I could get to the final boss so easily, and then he would just kick my ass. And then they eventually took my favorite weapon and they nerfed it in one of the updates. But that's another story for another day. Yeah, that sucked. I really did love it. Was one of the crossbows. Man, I fucking loved that crossbow. I did some serious damage with it. But, yeah, so the developer Motion Twin put out a tweet. This was on the 9th. I'm getting to this story early because I want to put all the Nintendo stories together. This was, yesterday? It was, hey, Dead Cells players, we know it's late, but we have an update for everything regarding the update 34 for mobile and 35 for PC and consoles. And Evil Empire setting sails for New Horizons. So, right, basically the next update, update 35, is going to be their final update. Because the developers, right, Evil Empire Studios, are moving on. Later on that day, they put out an update, they put out their own thing. I'll read the tweet first. After 5 years of service, we're hanging up the Dead Cells coat. We're extremely proud of our work on countless updates and DLCs, but now it's time for something shiny and new. Or maybe more than one thing. More on that very soon. Read our full statement below. So I'm going to read the statement right now. After nearly 5 years of service, 4 DLCs, 18 updates, some epic crossovers, and a mobile release with Playdigious, Evil Empires will no longer be working on Dead Cells. We are immensely proud of the work we have put into the game. We loved every minute, and are very thankful to Motion Twin for trusting us and letting us play with their baby for so long. We will really miss working on Dead Cells. In particular, we will miss this amazing community, making new content with you, and seeing your reactions to some of our wilder additions has been a blast. Even if we weren't always perfect. On that note, we're so sorry about the broken controllers caused by the derelict distillery. I get that. The good news is our Dead Cells team has been unleashed to pump their talents into secret projects and will be revealing what those crazy minds have been coming up with very soon. Meanwhile, of course, we wish the best of Motion Twin and Godspeed to their new game, Windblown. 5 BC completed. Time to start our new game. Or 2. And you know what? What a great run Dead Cells has had. Seriously, what a fantastic game. The crossover with Castlevania still kind of blows my mind that they were able to do that. And I'll admit, I have not played it. I have not touched Dead Cells, I think, since before that update came out. But I kind of want to now. I kind of want to get back in. I did buy it at some point. It was on sale or something. And I was like, you know what? Sure, fuck it. Why not? I'll buy this. I'll play it at some point. Because, again, I really do like this game. Because I was one of those people who, when the whole thing about Philip Mewson plagiarizing Boomstick Gaming came out, I remember seeing that story and being like, oh, I've never heard of this Dead Cells game. I'll give it a look. And then I just loved it, man. It took me a while, but some of the best games do, right? I think of Shovel Knight for me. I love Shovel Knight. It's one of my favorites of all time. I did not actually care for Shovel Knight on my first playthrough. I really only got into it on my second playthrough. About a year after release. And yeah, Dead Cells was kind of the same way. I played it a little bit in 2018. I enjoyed it. And then yeah, it took me about a year. And I've just enjoyed it ever since. I have had such a good time with it. It's different, man. It can be so fucking difficult. Like, seriously. Like, that. If Derelict Distillery is what I think I'm remembering, yeah, no. It's got some real difficult stuff. But it's got a lot of good content, a lot of variety. The game is a roguelite Metroidvania, which it's fantastic. It's just a fantastic game that I really do love playing. And yeah, I kind of do want to get back into it now, but I've also kind of been playing Hades again. We'll talk about it in a little bit. But I learned the hard way that I cannot play Hades and Dead Cells at the same time. You stupid fucking fox. Right, Hades and Dead Cells just do not work together. Their control scheme, they use similar control schemes, but they're just slightly different. Like, the attack button is different between Hades and Dead Cells. The dodge button is different between Hades and Dead Cells. Oh, look at that hat. That's adorable. So, yeah, trying to play both games at the same time is kind of a nightmare. So right now I'm kind of going through Hades again, so I don't think I'm going to pick up Dead Cells immediately. But maybe after I finish Hades again, then I'll give Dead Cells another shot. I do want to check out that Castlevania DLC. That's so cool that they were able to do that. Yeah, no, that is awesome. But no, it's a fantastic game. If you've never played it before, especially on Switch. I think the Switch version is great. And that's, where I've put most of my time into it. Yeah, it's an easy recommendation. So yeah, I'm glad they're moving on. I'm curious to see what they do next. They made some great games, right? And they mentioned, right, Motion Twin's working on their new game as well. So there's hopefully a lot of good stuff coming soon. It's a great time, but yeah, what a great game. And I'm glad to see how that it ends off, right? It ends on such a high note. Right, one more update that they're getting out soon. And yeah, fantastic. Alright, let's see what's next. Alright, so next up we have some Switch sales numbers. So Nintendo did their quarterly earnings call, or whatever it's called. This is, let's see, I have all these things from Mario 64, like always. So the Nintendo Switch is now at 139.36 million sales. They've sold over... That would be a billion, right? 1.2 billion software sold. And yeah, 139 million hardware. Just to put that into perspective, the Nintendo DS sold 154 million hardware. So they're about 15 away from catching up to the Nintendo DS. And if I remember correctly, and it's been a while, but the DS is the second best-selling console of all time. The highest selling console of all time is the PS2 at, I want to say it's 150 million. So they're 16, 17 away from beating the PS5. I totally think that within the next 6 months, or within the next year, let's just be generous and say the next year. I think within the next year, Nintendo could beat that number, especially if they put the Switch on sale. Now, let's be generous and say 2 years. I'm going to say 2 years, because even though the new Nintendo Switch is coming out, I think they're going to keep the Nintendo Switch is so well, it's got so many games on it, Nintendo isn't just going to completely abandon it. Right? They're going to keep it around for a little bit, they're going to keep making You know, some games are going to have simultaneous releases. At least for probably the first 6 months to a year. I would not be surprised if they keep it that long. So I think I could totally see Nintendo keeping up on the Switch for another year, and then continue to sell it for another year after that, maybe at a discount, maybe put the thing $100 off, you know, see if they can do that. And yeah, I could totally see them hitting that another 16 million, just enough to make it the best-selling game, or the best-selling console. I think it's really close. I know the Switch 2 will slow those numbers, but I also do have to assume that a lot of people buying a Switch 2 are people who already have a Switch. Right? It's kind of like the Nintendo Wii. Everybody had a Wii. It kind of feels like everybody has a Switch. I know plenty of people who have 2 Switches. Fuck it, I'm one of them. Right? I have 2. I have an OLED and an original. I don't have a Lite. Nah, I don't. I don't use the Switch Mobile enough to have a Lite. So no, I totally do see this happening. And I think it would make perfect sense. Right? The Switch has been doing so well. Yeah. Of course, it's not guaranteed or anything. But, yeah. Holy shit, look at this thing. Oh my god. So, what about hardware? Well, how's hardware doing? So, Mario Kart 8 has sold 60 million copies. That basically means that, what is it, one in every... It's more than one, it's less than 1 in every 4. But I think it's more than 1 in every 5. I don't know, I can do the math real quick. Ooh, wait, I did that wrong. Yeah, it's basically 1 in every... I guess it'd be closer to 2 in every 8. Or I guess 1 in every 4. Yeah. So yeah, basically 1 in every... Wait, no, wait. 4/10, cuts in half to 2/5. Yeah, okay, there we go. 2/5, there we go. I'm not a math guy. 2/5 in every Switch user has Mario Kart 8. Makes perfect sense. Right? It's totally... God, I hope we get a Mario Kart 9 on Switch 2. God, please give us Mario Kart 9. But Mario Kart 8 is fantastic. Makes total sense. Animal Crossing at 44 million. If Nintendo had kept supporting Animal Crossing... Right, because they only did a year worth of updates. And they barely did a year. I mean, they did a year. Let's just say it like that. They did a year's worth of updates. If they had done more than a year's worth of updates... I fully believe that game could have overtaken Mario Kart. Honestly, the fact that it's successful as a... I know COVID is a lot of Mario Kart, or Animal Crossing success. Animal Crossing owes a lot of success to COVID. But, like, and Nintendo just wasn't prepared for that. But no, it's definitely a cultural moment. Smash Bros. Is at 33 million. Tears of the King... Or Breath of the Wild, I mean. Breath of the Wild is at 31 million. Mario Odyssey is at 27. I feel like those numbers haven't changed, right, since the last time. I mean, they haven't changed positions, I mean. Sword and Shield is still at 26 million. Yeah, it's I think the second best-selling Pokemon game of all time. Might be the third, actually. It's either... No, I think it is the second. Because the original Red and Blue sold 30 million units. So Sword and Shield sold 26. Killed another human. And then we'll see Scarlet and Violet here in a second. Speaking... So Sword and Shield in, what, 5-ish years? Came out, what, 2018? So yeah, 5-ish years. Sword and Shield sold 26 million copies. In a little over a year and a half, Scarlet and Violet sold 24 million. They are the third best-selling Pokemon game of all time. I do think, especially if it gets a re-release on Switch 2 with, you know, better graphics and whatnot, if they update the graphics, I guess make the frame rate better, right? if they give it like a patch, like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Plus or whatever, I can see it beating that 30 million units. I realistically could see that. Honestly, to sell almost as much as Sword and Shield in a year, even though the games are definitely flawed, yeah, no, I still really enjoy them, man. I'm just disappointed Legends Arceus didn't sell better. Man, that should be the biggest game in the fucking world. And the fact that it isn't breaks my heart. Because that one is better. Next up, Super Mario Party is still at 20 million. I still have no idea how it did that. That still makes no sense to me, in my opinion. 20 million for Super Mario Party. And then I have no idea how many the new Mario Party sold. Because the new Mario Party was a lot better. And I'm assuming it didn't even sell close to that. And then below that, at 20.28 million, is The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Little under, you know, it's what? 7-ish months after release. And it has sold 20 million. That's fantastic. You know, that is great. The fact that it's only about 10 million, it's about 11 million below Breath of the Wild after only a few months, that's good. Of course, the numbers are definitely going to slow down until they inevitably make a upgraded version on Switch 2. Then, you know, I guarantee the numbers will go up. But for the moment, yeah, no, it makes sense. Then below that is New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe at 17 million. I want to say since now that Tears of the Kingdom and Pokemon are on this list, I want to say that kicks off Ring Fit Adventure, which was at like what, 15. But no, New Super Mario Bros. You know, those 2D Mario sell really well. That doesn't surprise me. Speaking of 2D Marios, for those curious, Super Mario Bros. Wonder sold 11.96 million in like 4 months. That's pretty good, right? 4 months to do almost what New Super Mario Bros. U is, right? They're just about, what would that be? They're what, 5 million short? Yeah, I totally think within the next year they could totally hit that. They did have a holiday season, that helps them out a lot. But no, New Super Mario Bros. Wonder was so good. I'm glad it's doing that well. This toothpick is great. This toothpick, whatever this popsicle skewer thing is, fantastic. Other games, Pikmin 4 sold 3.33 million units. That is, I want to say, better. I don't think that's better than every previous Pikmin game combined. But that's still pretty good compared, because, you know, I want to say Pikmin 2 originally didn't even break 1 million units. I want to say it only sold like 200,000. It was outsold by a song. I don't know, give me a second. Let me look up Pikmin sales figures. Pikmin sales. Okay, so the original... Okay, so I was wrong about that. So the original Pikmin sold 1.6 million units. Pikmin 2 sold 1.12 million units. So we're at 1.72. Pikmin on the Wii U sold 1.28 million units. And then Pikmin 3 Deluxe sold 2.4 million units. So, let me see. 3... Yeah, so basically, the first 3 Pikmin games combined sold 4 million units. And the current Pikmin game is at 3.3. Has it sold more? It has... It's barely sold under Pikmin 3 and Pikmin 3 Deluxe combined. With, yeah, a total across all games at 11.165 million. So, yeah, you know, for Pikmin, that's pretty good, right? Again, before this, the best-selling Pikmin game is 2.4, and now we're up here with almost 1 million more. For Pikmin, that's not bad. Is that enough to convince Nintendo to make another Pikmin game? I think so. I mean, Pikmin 3 Deluxe sold well enough to convince them, and this one sold 1 million more than that, so hopefully. Plus, Miyamoto's still working at... Listen, as long as Miyamoto continues to work at Nintendo, we will continue to have Pikmin games. The second Miyamoto officially retires, which he's probably not going to do, because Miyamoto's, I'm pretty sure, has said that he's going to die at Nintendo. Right, so I hope this is enough to get us our next game. I hope we get open world Pikmin. That's the dream, man. So yeah, those are our sales figures on Switch. You know, they're going up. But has it slowed down from last year? I don't honestly know. Yeah, I don't really have a good feeling about that. Yeah, technically, it's slowing down. Last quarter 1 through quarter 3 of last year, they sold 14.91 million. And then quarter 1 through 3 of this year, they sold 13.74 million. So it's technically gone down, but if they do another... Again, all it is 15 million to be the best-selling console. But they're also now competing against Switch 2, which is definitely going to be a thing. Right? We all know it's going to be a thing, and it's probably going to be announced in March, and that will hurt the Switch sales. We just don't know how much. But no, I just, man, I fucking love this little stupid console. It's so good, and I'm glad it's getting the success we've seen. I'm glad it's had so many great games. Like, the amount of fantastic Switch games are, we're in such a great position. And none of them are on Xbox or PlayStation. Because Nintendo isn't a bunch of fucking sellouts. That's a joke. That's a joke. Okay, so next up, we got Direct predictions. So I do believe a Nintendo Direct is coming soon. I know there was a rumor today that, oh, the next Nintendo Direct isn't actually going to be like a full-fledged Nintendo Direct. It's just going to be a mini Direct or a partner presentation. And I'll be honest, I can see that. I think that is a total possibility. But I also do realistically see it being a full-fledged Nintendo Direct. Usually, right, we get 3 Nintendo Directs a year. And you may say, well, oh, they have a new console coming out. That has literally never stopped them before. Because even the earliest the new console could come out is September. And even if it does come out in September, we still have to fill up every month until then. And so far, we only know of... Right, we only have release dates until March. So that leaves out May. That leaves out April. That leaves... right, June, July, and August. And you know, Nintendo's usually trying to get a game out a month. They don't always, but they usually try to. Right, like, did anything come out in January? I can't really think of anything coming out in January. But we have Donkey Kong next month. We have Splatoon DLC in like a week. Or we have Donkey Kong next week. We have Splatoon in a week. And then we have Princess Peach just a little bit while after that. Oh, and then another Code. Didn't that game come out in January? So yeah, I guess Nintendo did have a game in January. So my predictions for a Nintendo Direct. So Nintendo has... So I'm just going to give full-on predictions. I'm going to give pie in the sky, everything. If they do a partner presents or a mini Direct, fine. Right? Like, if we get a partner present or a mini Direct, the only thing I would maybe expect is release dates for, like, Luigi's Mansion. Right? Like, that's it. That's all I would expect. We get a few important release dates, and that's it. So what do I actually want? Well, Nintendo has said that, right, they want to get a Zelda game out every year. And honestly, since 2017, they've only failed that once, right? Which was 2022, because of Tears of the Kingdom basically got delayed, kind of. right? Other than that, we have had a Zelda game every year. So there are a few ideas for what the next Zelda game is. The most obvious one is a remake of Oracle of Ages and Seasons, right? Have the team that did the Link's Awakening remake use the exact same style and just remake Oracle of Ages and Seasons. That'd be fantastic. I know those games are now on Nintendo Switch Online. I still have not played them, but I really should at some point. So I would love to see those, right? I'd love to see full remakes. That would 1000% get me to play those games. But if you know a little bit about the development of Oracle of Ages and Seasons, originally the idea was to make 6 different games. Eventually that got scaled down to 3, and then that got scaled down to 2. But what if, when they do the remake of Oracle of Ages and Seasons, they bring back the 3rd game? They make the 3rd Oracle game. Now, the 3rd Oracle game was actually supposed to be a remake of Zelda 1. So my other idea is, what if they just remake Zelda 1? Right? Do a smaller scale remake of Zelda 1. Maybe even charge less money for it, right? I would love it just be like a digital only game that's like $20, but it's a full-on remake of Zelda 1. It plays a lot better. It's a lot less janky. The combat's a lot less bullshit. You know, there's a lot less cheap deaths. Wizrobes are a lot better to deal with. I would love to see a full-on remake of Zelda 1. Would Nintendo do a remake of Oracle of Ages, Seasons, and then Oracle of Courage? Because, you know, Oracle of Seasons is supposed to be the Sage of Power. Oracle of Ages is the Sage of Wisdom, right? So Sage of Courage. Would Nintendo do all 3 of those games at once? Probably not. Especially because Oracle of Seasons is kind of already a remake of Zelda 1. There are certain things in Oracle of Seasons that are literally just lifted from Zelda 1. It's like a spiritual successor. So, do I actually see them remaking Zelda 1? Probably not, but I do think it would be interesting. The other thing is, of course, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. The rumor has been for a long time now that the remakes of Twilight Princess and Wind Waker have just been done this entire time. Like, those remakes are finished and Nintendo has just been sitting on them. And honestly, that doesn't surprise me. That does not surprise me at all. It would make sense to do it this year, or, you know, put it on the next console. God, I hope the next console's backwards compatible. But, right, I think that would make sense. I'd be down. I kind of want to replay Wind Waker. I don't know. I saw a thing, I think it was either earlier today or yesterday. Someone is making a mod for Wind Waker that removes the ocean from the game. Right? So it's all just land. And, you know, you walk from island to island. And I think that is such a fucking clever idea. You know, fuck you, de-oceans your Wind Waker. That's fucking... I hope that project is successful. I hope that you know, sometimes Nintendo can be very stingy with these things. Sometimes they're actually very lenient with these things. So I really hope this project makes it to completion. I don't remember if they have, like, a Patreon or something like that. Because I don't know. I honestly would save this project until it's done and then just kind of fucking shadow drop it out of fears that Nintendo would, you know, copyright strike you. So I kind of hope the project... Right, I think they said they were, like, 40% way through the game. But God, I hope this turns out well. Because that's such a great idea. But yeah, I hope it's everything right. It sounds like it's going to be. Because that sounds fantastic. I would love to play Oceanless Wind Waker. I can't remember what it was called. It wasn't Wind Waker Unbound. But it was like... It was unsomething. I don't know. Look up Oceanless Wind Waker. I'm sure you're bound to find it. Really interesting idea. But I'd love to play Wind Waker again. It's been a while. Don't really care about playing Twilight Princess again. It's Twilight Princess. I know some people really love it. I think it's fine. Definitely the HD remake helped it a lot. But I still don't love Twilight Princess. Now, my third idea. And honestly, there's no setup to this one. but I kind of think it's the most likely. What if we get another Hyrule Warriors? I want to say Age of Calamity did pretty well. So what if we get another Hyrule Warriors? But this time, so right, Hyrule Warriors was, hey, the game takes place in an alternate timeline where you're actually able to save the champions from dying, right? You play out the great calamity of 100 years ago, but this time you're able to save everyone, right? There's time travel bullshit. I know some people don't love the time travel bullshit, but I get why they did it, because it makes the plot more interesting than just having everyone die. And you still kind of do fail along the way. So my idea, what if we get another Hyrule Warriors, but this time there is no Link in it. Link is, outside of like being mentioned in cutscenes, there is no Link. You play as Zelda, and you specifically play as Zelda in the past. So spoiler alert for for Tears of the Kingdom. Full spoiler alert ahead. In Tears of the Kingdom, at the beginning of the game, Zelda, grabs the Spiritual Stone and gets sent back in time 10,000 years. So what if this new, Age of Calamity style game follows Zelda going back in time 10,000 years, and you get to play out that time period from 10,000 years ago? You meet up with Rauru and Sonia, you meet up with all the 4 other sages that nobody gives a shit about, and you help them, and you fight off Ganon. And the game ends with the big climactic battle against Ganon, where Rauru sacrifices himself to unseal Ganon. So yeah, it's literally just you playing as Zelda. Outside of cutscenes, Link is never mentioned. And then yeah, you just go and you beat the game. Right? You play through it all, and it ends with, again, spoiler alert, Zelda becoming a dragon. Right? You just play through that whole thing. I think that would make an interesting Hyrule Warrior story. They'd have to probably, I wouldn't be surprised if they introduced time travel bullshit again. But I think that would be an interesting story. I'd love to see their take on that. So that's my idea for a Hyrule Warriors 3. Because it's been, 3 Hopes was what, 2 years ago now? It was at least a year. I want to say it was 2022. So it's been a while since 3 Hopes. So in that time, I can totally see them having made this game. And especially because the team that does it, like the Dynasty Warriors games nowadays, suck. I hate those games. All my friends who love Dynasty Warriors hate those games. But the Hyrule Warrior games are fantastic. So I would love to see another Hyrule Warriors game. That's my pitch. I don't know. We'll see. But that's my big prediction. Will we get it at this Direct? I don't know. Maybe. And put that out in May or August, sometime in that window before the new Switch comes out. Yeah. I can totally see that. Next up, it is Earthbound's 30th or 35th anniversary. It's Earthbound's anniversary this year. And it was said somewhere that Nintendo has special plans for Earthbound's anniversary. Knowing Nintendo, that's probably just a music medley thing, right? Usually for anniversaries, Nintendo just does something special with the music, and that's about it. Some series you're lucky if you get a fucking tweet, right? Kid Icarus's most recent anniversary, they got a tweet. I don't even know if they got a tweet. I think they got a tweet and that was it, right? You're lucky if you get anything more than that. But with such a huge with the popularity of Earthbound and the popularity of Earthbound-like games, right? Be that Undertale, Omari, Lisa, I think it would make perfect sense for them to remake Earthbound. Of course, the dream is, right, we're getting all these very stylized Nintendo games. What if they remake Earthbound in that Link's Awakening style? you know, that they used for the Link's Awakening remake. Making Earthbound look like that would be amazing. That would be fantastic. I would love to see that. The other idea is, I remember a lot of Earthbound, like, promotional material used, like, I want to say, like, a claymation style, you know, where they were, like, clay figures. I could see them remaking Earthbound in that style, right, where they're, like, clay figures moving around, you know, kind of like something like Kirby and the, was it Kirby and the Rainbow Curse? Whatever the Wii U Kirby game was, where you were, you know, it was the sequel to Canvas Curse. I could see them using a style like that for the Earthbound remake. Of course, I want them to polish it up a little bit more, because sometimes that stuff can look ugly. But I totally think Nintendo could pull off something like that. So I think that's more, right, well, definitely like a music symposium thing is the most likely. I think this is the second most likely thing. But the third most likely one, the dream, is Mother 3. I know Nintendo has said that they thought about, that they were desperate enough in the Wii U era that they considered remaking Mother 3, but eventually they decided not to. I could see them trying again. Being like, yep, let's do Mother 3. But this remake, specifically to, like, you know, cover their ass and everything, the remake is either directed or produced by Toby Fox. Because it's been a long time since Chapter 2 of Deltarune. And Chapter 3 doesn't appear to be anytime soon. I don't know, it could be in October, but I would not be surprised if they reveal that, hey, guess what? In between Deltarune's Chapters 2 and 3, Toby Fox actually went to work for Nintendo. Because, you know, he already has a close relationship with Nintendo. You know, he met Masahiro Sakurai. He's worked with Game Freak to make music for several of their games. What if he straight up worked for Nintendo and produced the Mother 3 remake? Right? So that, and because I totally have faith that Toby Fox could remake Mother 3 while preserving the original game, but updating it for a more modern audience. That he would take the time and care to make a good remake. It definitely would not be a one-for-one remake, right? He'd definitely have to make some changes, because again, there's some transphobic stuff in there. But if anyone can do it, I have faith in Toby Fox. So far, he has not let me down. And I mean, it could always change, but I don't think it will. Not anytime, nothing recently anyways. So that's kind of, that's my pie in the sky dream. Mother 3, directed by Toby Fox. I would love to see it. Is that going to happen? No. But it'd be cool. Next up, Princess Peach Showtime. The game comes out in like a month. You know, give us a brief little stint of it. You know, if we're gonna, you know, show a little bit of it during a highlight reel. Makes sense. I wrote this list so long ago. One of the things rooting against this Nintendo Direct is the fact that since I wrote this list back in January, we got a Princess Peach Showtime trailer, and we got a Splatoon Side Order trailer. Splatoon Side Order comes out in 2 weeks. I would also see that being mentioned there, but we did also get a trailer, so maybe it doesn't get mentioned at all. Right? You never know. So it would kind of suck, but I could see them doing it. You know, if that's the one thing that stops it, that would suck. But I really do hope we get, you know, I do hope we get a direct. Next up, Luigi's Mansion. If I had to guess, Luigi's Mansion 2 was going to come out in July. I could see, it could come out as early as May. Okay, admittedly, it could come out as early as May, but I feel like they've been leading towards that summer release date. So I could see July.
Congratulations.
So yeah, I could see it July. But I also, during this Nintendo Direct... Okay. I could also see them announcing during this Nintendo Direct that, hey, you know, Luigi's Mansion 2 comes out in a few months. The remake. But for those who have never played the original Luigi's Mansion, a remaster of the GameCube version is available now. Or, you know, maybe it's available in like a month, right? I don't, at some point, right? Kind of like what they did with Pikmin 1 and 2, where they were like, hey, you know, for people who want to play Pikmin 1 and 2 before Pikmin 4 comes out, we're re-releasing them, right? They're basically just ports with better controls. The graphics are just slightly updated. I could see them doing the exact same thing with Luigi's Mansion 1. Just like, hey, we've slightly updated the graphics, we fixed the controls. I don't see it being like a full-on port like the 3DS version, right? I don't see it having the 3DS version's like quality of life improvements. Holy shit, that's $1 million. But I could totally see that. And maybe they announce, if it wasn't for Donkey Kong coming out on Friday, a week from yesterday, I would say it'd be available now, and then they do a physical release like later in like April or something. But who knows? And you know, maybe honestly I could also see them not announcing anything, and then in a June Nintendo Direct, just being like, hey, Luigi's Mansion comes out next month, but for those who never played the original, it's available today. I could see them holding that for a little longer, but I do 100% think we're also going to get some version. Is that the fucking box from FNAF? Okay, I could 100% see us getting a Luigi's Mansion thing. But yeah, I think we're going to get a Luigi's Mansion 2 release date. I'd love to see if they made any other updates to the game. I think that'd also be really cool, like what they've changed for the Luigi's Mansion 2. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Next up, Paper Mario. I'm of two minds. On one hand, I could see it coming out sooner, right? I could see it being in like May. That's, I think, a total possibility. They announce, hey, it's coming out in May. And right, that gives us, you know, some time between other games. May or June, I guess. Let's just say May. Because, right, that puts us after the Switch 2 has been announced, but before the Switch 2 released. But I could also see them putting it closer to the Switch 2's release date and just having it drop on both systems. Right? Like, we already kind of... Right? We know whatever game launches day one on Switch 2 will also be available on the original Switch. I could totally see Paper Mario. Maybe not... Like, let's say the Switch 2 comes out in September. And, right, let's say it launches with Mario Kart 9. I'm just gonna make something up. Switch 2 launches with Mario Kart 9 in September. In October, I could see Paper Mario, and that launches on both systems. I think that would make perfect sense. And then you have Metroid in November, and, I don't know, Xenoblade in December. We'll talk about that in a second. I guess speaking of Metroid, I do think they will mention Metroid Prime 4 here. Whatever Nintendo... I know I said this last year. I do firmly think Metroid Prime 4 is coming this year. I know I was confident about that last year, but I'm confident about that again this year. And I think when we get Metroid Prime 4, they'll show it off here. They'll reveal it here and be like, hey, here's your first little look at the gameplay, and you will learn more about this game in later in the year. Right? They just leave it at that. They say it is coming to Switch, and we'll learn more about it. And then during the big Switch 2 Direct in June, they reveal that, hey, guess what? Metroid Prime 4 is coming out in November, and it's releasing on both Switch and Switch 2. I think that is a very high possibility. I could also see, I know Metroid Prime got a remake last year. People really love that game. It was like the 10th highest reviewed game of the year last year. So I could see them being like, hey, guess what? We've all... Kind of like what they did with... Right, Metroid Prime... The Metroid Prime remake was like a full HD remake. But I could see them releasing Metroid Prime 2 and 3 as, you know, a lesser remake. Kind of like with the Pikmin remakes. Right? Now that Nintendo has opened the door with the Pikmin remakes, I hope they do shit like that more often. Right? Just being like, oh, you like this new game? Well, do you want to play the prequels? Hey, here it is. We're just going to drop it right now. So I could see them realistically putting out Metroids 2 and 3 maybe even putting the lower quality version of Metroid Prime, right? Just doing the full trilogy for $60, 50, $60. I could see Nintendo just doing that, right? So for those who just want all 3 games in one package, there you go. Or, you know, if you want to buy... I'm sure they'll let you buy each of them individually. That very much seems like a Nintendo move. That seems like something they would do. So, yeah. But no, I do think we're getting Metroid Prime 4. And I could see this Metroid Prime 2 and 3 thing, that could be your April game. Right? Get it out in April. Yeah, I think it'd make perfect sense. Next up, Xenoblade Chronicles. So we've pretty consistently gotten Xenoblade Chronicle games. And I do think there is a high likelihood we get another one. That specifically being a remake of Xenoblade Chronicles X. I've mentioned this before, but Xenoblade Chronicles X is the last Wii U game that never got ported to Switch. Much to my surprise, I always found it very weird that we never got Xenoblade Chronicles X on Switch. So I could see them finally putting out Xenoblade Chronicles X. And when they announce, hey, guess what, we're doing Xenoblade Chronicles X, they also announce that they will be that X2 is in development. And when I say X2, I picture the logo as like X squared. You know, something like that. But basically they say, yeah, X2 remake comes out later this year, December, and then X2, the X remake December, and then X2 is later this year. I very realistically see that happening, because again, the original X ends on a cliffhanger that has never been resolved. So I would love to see them finally resolve that cliffhanger, please. I've only been waiting... what, 2015? Has it been almost 10 years? I don't know. I don't remember when X came out. I don't remember when the original Xenoblade Chronicles X came out. I could, of course, also see this happening in June. Realistically, I could see them during the big Nintendo Switch presentation. They're like, hey, guess what? Xenoblade Chronicles comes out in June on the Nintendo Switch 2, and Xenoblade Chronicles X2 is going to be exclusive to the Nintendo Switch 2. I could also totally see that happening, but if it happens here, that would be cool. And then my last prediction, well, my last kind of prediction, we do have one other thing that I do want to quickly mention. We're not going to see a Switch 2 here. Obvious, Nintendo will do their own event for Switch 2, right? One day we're just going to wake up and we're going to see a tweet from Nintendo that says like, hey, check out a Nintendo special presentation tomorrow, March... is it going to be the Ides of March? No, it'd be March 14th. So it'd be before the day before. I could realistically see us waking up and being like, hey, special Nintendo presentation tomorrow, March 14th. And then boom, surprise, surprise, that's the Switch 2. That's how I see that playing out. We're not going to get Switch 2 here. They could wait until June. I don't think they're, especially if it comes out in like September or October, I don't think they're going to wait until June. But the June Direct is definitely going to be a Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. Like, obviously. They're going to, kind of like that big January Direct. Right, in 2017, we got that big January Direct that kind of went over everything coming to Switch. The E3 Direct, even though E3's dead, is going to be doing that. That, I think, makes the most sense. The last thing I do want to briefly mention, and we'll talk more about this, I think... Is it next week or in 2 weeks? We'll talk more about this in 2 weeks. Pokemon Day. Pokemon Day is the 27th. But there is a rumor going around right now that for Pokemon Day, they're going to announce a sequel to... Oh, kick-ass. They're going to announce a sequel to Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. That the rumor right now is that it's Let's Go Wooper and Let's Go Togepi. Now, the Togepi part of this rumor, I think the actual rumor itself is very believable. Right? Saying we're going to get a Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu 2, I think is very likely. And I think it being Let's Go Togepi makes perfect sense. My problem is the other one. Because my prediction had always been Let's Go Meryl and Let's Go Togepi. So the fact that they're doing Let's Go Wooper, of course, if this rumor is to be believed, Let's Go Wooper is really weird. I will be honest, Wooper is more popular now than he has ever been, right? Him getting a Galarian form made Wooper, or, not Galarian, Paldean, there we go. Completely spaced on the name. Wooper getting a Paldean form makes perfect sense. Right? I think that makes perfect sense. He's more popular than ever now. I mean, I think of Smalland, who bought a rug of Wooper. So, Let's Go Wooper. I could see where they're coming from, but it's weird, right? That sounds weird. Like, out of everything they could have done, really? Let's Go Wooper and Let's Go Togepi? I could see a higher chance of them just doing Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee 2. That, I think, is actually more likely. Just having you travel the Johto games with Pikachu and Eevee. I think that is far more likely. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see, you know? And then, of course, the other rumor is Pokemon Black and White 2... or Pokemon Black and White 3, I mean, Black and White remakes. We'll talk more about it in 2 weeks. Right? I'll promise you that. We'll talk more about it in 2 weeks. Before because obviously Nintendo's not going to announce anything here. They'll do it during the Pokemon Day Direct on the 27th. But I just kind of wanted to mention that, like, hey, there's this rumor of a Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Wooper and Let's Go Togepi. I just kind of wanted to mention it because I totally would have forgotten it if I didn't. Because it's just kind of weird. I don't think it's a bad idea. I actually kind of enjoy Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. And I feel like if they fix the motion controls, or at least just make it play like how it does on mobile, those would be better games. So yeah. We're nearing the end here of Turnip Boy. Yeah, that's all the direct predictions I have. Am I totally overblowing this? Am I going a little too pie in the sky? Oh, probably. Oh, yeah, definitely. Even though I only really had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 predictions? Yeah, no, even 6 is probably too high of a number. And I mean, some of those were just release dates. But I'm hopeful, you know. The big one, I think, is I think they're going to reveal Metroid Prime 4. I think they're going to reveal Metroid Prime 4 and saying it's coming later this year. I think that just makes the most sense. But we'll just have to see. So I guess that takes us to WIBE. We'll do a real quick WIBE, because again, we got a lot of Moon Girl to talk about. We got an entire season, which I was not expecting. So what have I been doing? Arkham Knight, or not Arkham Knight, Suicide Squad. You know, I played Suicide Squad. I haven't beaten it. You know, there's some okay stuff in the game. You know, like I forgot to mention last week the Arkham Museum. Like, you go to a Batman museum that literally takes you through the events of the first 3 Arkham games. Still don't consider this game canon in the mainline Arkham universe. And I guess there's like these calendars hinted around that are placed around the world that says that like Batman will return or something like that. So like there's definitely all these like hints and whatnot of things they're gonna do. But I just don't care, man. Like it's an okay, it's a mediocre game. Like, that's it. It's a mediocre game that I've had an okay time with. I will probably beat it, but I'm not going to do much more than that. I guess they've got this whole season plan passed, right, where they're going to add the Joker, they're going to add Killer Croc, they're going to add Katana, they're going to add fucking other villains I don't care about. And I just don't care. I just don't care. right? Like, once I beat this game, I'm done. I'm outie. Like I said, I mentioned earlier, I was replaying Hades a bit. I started up a new save file and just was like, oh yeah, you know, let me do a few runs. I've just kind of been in the mood. It's all the Percy Jackson stuff, right? I've just kind of been in the mood recently. And I was like, yeah, you know, let's play some Hades. I still kind of remember, right? I more or less remember what I was doing, you know. And it's still a fucking amazing game, man. I love it. The gameplay is fantastic. The characters are great. Oh, I love all that story stuff. Yeah, no, it's just a really good game. I've never been amazing at it, but I still do really enjoy it. And so yeah, playing Hades has been really fun. I just did a few simple runs. I don't think I got farther than Asphodel. Because, you know, I'm starting brand new runs. I have none of my upgrades or anything. So yeah, I think I got as far as Asphodel in like 5 runs, you know. So yeah, you know, I still really enjoy Hades, and yeah, you know, I guess I'm kind of getting addicted again. I guess kind of. But now I kind of want to play Dead Cells, but you can't play Dead Cells and Hades at the same time because the two games' control schemes don't meld well with each other. Trust me, I learned that the hard way, and it just kind of breaks your brain. So yeah. What else? Have I been doing anything else? I'm excited for the Splatoon DLC in 2 weeks. You know, that's going to be a great time. You better believe we'll be there and streaming it and everything. We've got a Splatfest next week, which this is the last time we're doing Turnip Boy. You know, we're right near the end of the game. Hopefully we will beat it right now. Hint, hint, wink, wink. God, if only. But, right, I've been enjoying Turnip Boy. It's a, you know, some updates are really going to help this game out. You know, getting a more consistent frame rate. Like, the fact that the milk bag, every time it explodes, just kills our frame rate. But other than that, I've actually really enjoyed this game. It's pretty fun. Of course, we're about to get to some bullshit. We'll talk about it here in a second. But yeah, no, it's a pretty fun little game. I'm glad they made another one, and yeah, I do hope the updates fix it. It's an easy recommendation for me. If you never played the first one as well, that's also an easy recommendation. Anything else? I have not seen any movies. I want to go see that Lisa Frankenstein. Because, you know, it's Diablo Cody, it's Zelda Williams. Like, that sounds great. You know, I love those 80s movies that, like Heathers. Right? I love shit like that. I think it's nailing that. And I'm down for weird stuff, you know. I've heard that it's, you know, spiritual successor to Jennifer's Body, which makes sense. It's Diablo Cody. So, yeah, no, I've heard great things about it, and I'm excited. I'm excited for that, and when I get around to that, I don't know, eventually. I've got that to do. There's one other movie I really want to see as well. I say all this, but the next movie I see is probably going to be Madam Web. Fuck. Like, knowing me, because, you know, that comes out on the 14th. So I'm probably going to go see that bullshit. God. That's totally something I would do. I don't know, Lisa. Oh, it's got fucking Cole Sprouse in it. I think it's Cole Sprouse. It's one of them. I was like, fuck yeah. Yeah, no, that Lisa Frankenstein looks great. I want to build some Lego. I was into Lego as a kid. Then I got out. And then this year I just got back in. Right? I got back into Lego, and now I'm just like, God, I fucking love this, man. Everything I dislike about puzzles, Lego fixes. And like, but I don't want to become one of those like Lego adults who like spends all their money on Legos, you know? God, no, that sounds awful, but you know, buying those flower sets are so cool, man. I built that orchid one, and yeah, it was great. I had a great time making it. I saw, and then I saw in the Orchid instruction, I think I mentioned this, I saw they had a Lego Bird of Paradise. I was like, oh, that'd be a cool one to make. And then, no, you just can't, it's like sold out everywhere, and to buy it, it's like an extra, it's gone up in price by like $100. Because it was originally like $100, and now it's like 190 something. And I'm like, that's just not worth it, man. Just because it went out of production. Ugh. But no, I do love these Lego flowers. I don't know, I hear they're doing a Lego Zelda set, and it's probably the Great Deku Tree from Ocarina of Time. And I'll be honest, I don't love the Great Deku Tree from Ocarina of Time. Like, that that's kind of not something I jive with. But the Lego sets put so much detail, so much care into these sets, that I'm sure it's going to be great. But I know that's later in the year. So, I guess that takes us to Moon Girl. So, the original season of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, was a Disney Plus show. It was a Disney show. And I just remember it was at like D23 or something. I remember them talking about it. And I was like, oh, it's produced by Lawrence Fishburne. And I was like, oh yeah, you know, I've heard of Moon Girl. Admittedly, I don't really care for the character in the comics. There's no nice way of saying this, but the character in the comics kind of feels like a Mary Sue. It's just kind of how they write her and how her powers work. It's really weird and kind of hard to explain, but I feel like the show did a much better job with the character. What's your dad? It balanced things out a lot more. So I was like, yeah, I enjoyed season 1 so much. There were so many great, fun, interesting episodes. I loved Moon Girl, Devil Dinosaur, Casey, the Beyonder. They did a great job with the Beyonder, taking a character that I actually think is very boring and doing something real interesting with him. Yeah, no, honestly, the MCU needs to learn. I know the show is like MCU adjacent. Like, if the MCU is Earth 1999999, this show is like Universe 1999998, right? It's just like one universe off. But I feel it's a great show. So, I actually had no idea season 2 was coming out of this show until like last week. Right? Like, I think Monday of last week. So what, like the 30th? Was when I found out the show was coming out, and I was like, wait, what? It's back already? So I was really surprised to see that. And then it was like, hey, yeah, guess what? It comes out next week. Oh, God, this boss does so much health. It comes out next week. The episodes release on Disney Plus on the first day, or they release on Disney Channel on Fridays. And then they come to Disney Plus the next day. And I was like, oh, that sounds great, right? This is going to be a great time. And so, you know, Friday, the first episode aired. Didn't see it because I don't have cable. And I was like, okay, we'll watch it on Disney Plus the next day. So I boot up Disney Plus on Saturday. And all 14 episodes were on Disney Plus. I thought they were just going to be releasing it episodically. But I'm assuming the entire season. I don't know if the entire season is 14 episodes. The original first season was 16 episodes, so I think it makes sense that the entire next season is 14. You know, like, I see the logical progression there. But yeah, no, I was kind of surprised to see the whole season, but so throughout this entire week, that fucking sucks. Throughout this entire week, I have been binging through the show just to talk about it. And I liked it. I really did like it. I will admit, I do think I like the first season more. Right? There are some changes to the second season. Most of them are good changes. But I think there's just stuff I like about the first season more. Like, I like the music in the first season better. Right? Like, I feel like the songs they used in the first season, I liked more. I felt like there were more creative choices in the first season. Like, the first season did a entire fight scene to, oh god, what's that song's called? Havanagila? You know that song. They did a fight. They did an entire action sequence to just the two of us. I feel like there were some creative song choices, and there are some creative song choices in this one. There's a fucking Everything is Awesome friendship song in like episode 3. Right, they do some, and some of the music is great. The roller skating, the roller jam episode has some fantastic music. So there still is some good music. I just feel like I like the 4-season selections more. But I still really do enjoy this season. It still is really good. So let's just go through it right now. So the first episode starts off, right, the previous season ended with Lunella being trapped in an interdimensional portal, taking her to God knows where. Right? That she basically sacrifices herself to save Mimi and Casey. So, of course, we're going to see her intergalactic adventures. And immediately, right, she's hurling through space. The Beyonder shows up, saves her, and is like, oh, let's go to this resort planet. You know, it's like a Rick and Morty episode, kind of. Right, where it's like, hey, let's go to this resort planet and chill out. But when they get there, the resort planet is destroyed, and Beyonder loses use of his powers. So, right, he's just like a normal human. So they have to, you know, figure out a way out. Lunella eventually figures out, like, there's this black hole. There's a black hole, like, amusement park ride that they can use to escape. Along the way, people figure out that the Beyonder doesn't have powers. So now people from all over the multiverse are trying to hunt him down. With the best one being Devil Girl and Moon Dinosaur. You know, if you've got the multiverse, use it. Sure, that sounds fun. But, you know, eventually Lunella and the Beyonder grow closer, they become friends, and, you know, he learns what it's like to be human and gain a respect for humanity. So I feel like that all works out very well. And then the episode, this is the part that surprised me, what's stopping the Beyonder's power is the Molecule Man. So if you don't know the comics, the Molecule Man is one of the few things stronger than Beyonder. Right? The Beyonder has powers that are, like, they're not godlike powers, but they basically have they're like a 5th dimensional super being, and they can just kind of do whatever they want. Usually it's to do, you know, tests and whatnot, right? Except for that one time where they went to Earth, and the Beyonder's just kind of a boring character. Right? And even in their original story, they get upstaged by Doctor Doom. Well, one of the character, right, Molecule Man was also in the original Secret Wars. And then in the reboot, right, Doom uses the Molecule Man to create Battle World and to, you know, gain the Beyonder's powers. Right? The Molecule Man is one of the few being stronger than Beyonder. And, you know, supposedly he might be... There was a rumor going around that he was going to be played by Ryan Gosling in the MCU, which is very weird casting, but I'm kind of down for it. Like, fucking sure. Allow Ryan Gosling to bring some real depth to this character. Because the Molecule Man isn't always a villain. He can be, but he usually suffers from feelings of inadequacy, like he thinks of himself as like a failure. And, like, that's in, like, the original Secret Wars, like, that's his big struggle that Doom eventually uses his powers to, like, cure him of. And then he becomes, like, total supervillain, but that's a whole other story for another day. So, yeah, you know, them bringing the Molecule Man, totally different design. Like, the Molecule Man in the comics just wears, like, a green suit. Right? So this one, they made him more alien. They gave him 4 arms. It's way more interesting. And he completely bodies Lunella. He just absolutely defeats her. There's nothing she can do about it. And right as she's about to die, the Beyonder swoops in, is able to, like, the Molecule Man, they give him, like, a magic wand. He's able to break it and get his powers back and save Lunella. Which is great, right? It's great, right? Their friendship, they come in, with that, with his powers back, they're able to escape, they throw him in, like, a crevice or something like that, and they go back to Earth. All's well that ends well, except for the fact that Lunella now has been traumatized, right? Like, she's got psychological scars that never heal. And it's like completely fucked her up because, you know, she almost died. So that I think it's a great opening. The second episode immediately plays off that with, they're going to get, because her suit got destroyed in the penultimate episode last season. So here they're getting her a new suit. They go out and meet up with two of Mimi's like old college friends who live out somewheres in the Southwest. And they make a new suit. Of course, Lunella, being scared of the Molecule Man, is like trying to put all this like stuff in the suit to, you know, beef it up so that way it can survive anything. And yeah, she ends up over-engineering it, and, you know, she has to learn the lesson that, you know, it's something about, like, the Falcon trusts the branch, even though, right, he trusts his own wings. There's some sort of inspirational metaphor, and, you know, it's just kind of her, you know, picking herself back up, dealing with her psychological trauma. It kind of gets resolved, right, I wish it got brought up again in future episodes. But really, it doesn't get brought up again until the season finale. Luckily, the thing with the Falcon, though, actually does get brought up in one of the future episodes, which I do like. I do like that they bring it up again and later to help out somebody else who is struggling. So I felt like, you know, overall it worked. And yeah, it's an okay episode. Because, you know, Lunella, right, Mimi is telling her, like, hey, tell your parents, right, I'm not going to force you to, but you should tell them. And when you tell them your secrets, I'll tell them mine. And that's kind of what they're building up throughout the entire season. Is, right, the parents finding out. Episode 3 is, right, so the lab got blown up. So it's them they fix the lab, Casey does. And now the three of them are kind of like working together. And it's, you know, just the struggles of working together, right? Casey's playing music. There's his friends will always be your friends. And Lunella gets sick of it, and, you know, it's that typical plot of, like, roommates who, you know, fight and whatnot. But, you know, in the end, they're able to work together. They end up going in, Devil gets, like, a goo bomb inside of him, so they have to go in and disable it. And along the way, they have to learn to trust and love each other again. Yeah, it's okay. Episode 3, Ride or Die, it brings up the idea of, like, hey, just because someone's a villain doesn't mean they're evil, right? We get specifically introduced to this villain who's named Whip. Is it Whip? It's something like that. It's like Whip, or not. It's not Chain. It's something. And this new villain, this villain Lunella has been trying to capture her, but she always slips away at the last second. But now, you know, she's finally caught her. But S.H.I.E.L.D. can't come and pick her up, so now she's got to transport her. Shit. But the villain, right, is being chased by another thug. They call her Lady Bullseye. I don't know if Lady Bullseye has anything to do with the Daredevil villain Bullseye. I don't know if they just gender swapped the same character, or if they're just completely unrelated. Right, because this Bullseye uses, like, darts and whatnot. I don't know. But, right, they're trapped on a subway car, and Whip and Moon Girl have to work together to defeat this Lady Bullseye. And yeah, you know, it's a fine episode. I do like the message that, you know, not everyone is, just because someone's a villain doesn't mean they're evil, right? Specifically, Whip wanted to be like a baker, but, you know, they needed money. You know, things got hard, so they took some jobs for Lady Bullseye, and it's the mafia, right? Once you're in, you can never get out. So now she's kind of stuck in this life of crime. But at the end of the episode, of course, Lunella is able to, like, strike her a deal and get her a job at a bakery, so that way she can finally do what she loves. Yeah, you know, it's a good message. Next up is Kid Kree. So I don't know what it is with these Disney shows and introducing gender-swapped versions of the main character and making them the love interest. Because in Ghost and Molly McGee, they introduced, I want to say his name was Ollie, and he was literally just a gender-swapped version of Molly. Right? Molly, Ollie. it was like a really weird decision. I kind of don't know why they did that, but they did. And they kind of do the same thing here. So we get this kid Kree, who is, he's this, he's a Kree, he's one of the aliens, and he's come to Earth on orders of his dad to hunt a superhero to, basically win back his dad's love, right? Because he got kicked out of military school. But, Kid Kree disguises himself as a human and ends up meeting Lunella, and the two become quick friends, and they start having romantic feelings for each other. And, they're always finishing each other's sandwiches. It literally just feels like a male version of Lunella. And I don't know why these shows keep doing that. Because, again, Ghost and Molly McGee kind of just did the same thing. It's really weird, but they did it here, so yeah. I don't know. This might be a character from the comics. I don't know. One of the things I do like about this show is that it takes a lot of liberties when adapting the comics. Like, a lot of these characters in this show are not in the comics, right? Like, I know Casey. Casey is not in the comics, right? It's usually mostly the villains, right? So I could see Kid Kree being from the comics, since he is one of the villains, at least for most of this episode. But yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea, but it literally just does feel like a gender swap version of Lunella. Eventually, Kid Kree and Lunella figure out each other's identities, and Lunella snitches to the dad, so now she has to fight the dad, and eventually Kid Kree betrays his dad. But, in the process, his dad learns to respect his son, that, right, while he may not be a strong warrior like he wants, he is very smart. And, if you're not good at shooting a gun, but you're good at making guns, there is some value to that. And the dad's able to admit it. So, yeah, it's whatever. I want to say, I do not hate the character. There's the prom episode we'll get to in a minute. Or it's either prom or homecoming, I kind of don't remember. And that one actually, I think, he shows back up again in that one, and I think that's actually pretty great. I think they use it really well, but we'll talk about it. Next up is Wishtar. This one's all about, keeping up with the Joneses, fads, that like, oh, all the kids in school are wearing these sneakers, so Lunella wants a pair. And there's this Wishtar, like the thing from Big, the Zotaro, that can grant, that actually, because it's powered by the Beyonder, it can grant wishes. So, they keep getting wishes granted to keep up with trends. But no matter what they do, they're always a step behind. And eventually, like, the guy who's starting all these fads, they eventually they wish for him to play at the ring, which does work. But you find out that he is on his own quest. Right? In the same way that they're trying to keep up with the Joneses, so is he. And in the process of trying to make him happy, they end up turning him into a supervillain. Lunella ends up getting in a fight with the Beyonder and, like, yells at him, like, hey, I didn't want you to turn him into a supervillain. So he fucks off, and you don't see him again for the entire rest of the season. And, well, yeah, it does kind of suck not to hear Lawrence Fishburne again. I actually think that's a strong choice, right? Like, they don't cop out. There's something that big that happens later on in the season, and they easily could have brought the Beyonder back to, help solve the problem. And they just didn't. They didn't do that, and I think it makes the singers stronger. And I like to kind of hope that in the background, right now that him and Lunella aren't friends, even though they were only friends for, 3 episodes, that in the background he's working on Battle World. I know Battle World was referenced in, the first episode. I want to say Battle World is like a shop in, the background of the show. But, I would not be surprised if they're working on a Battle World / Secret Wars thing. That would not surprise me at all, if he's, working towards that. But yeah, no, he fucks off and he's not in the rest of the episode. So yeah, that kind of surprised me. But they do it. The next episode, at school, there's a new science teacher, and everyone's getting excited for Robot Wars. And Lunella asks the new science teacher if she'll, help her out. And the new science teacher who's from Wakanda is like, yeah, of course I'll help. But then, so Lunella makes a robot, and the science teacher is like, this is awful. this was made by like a 5-year-old. You can do better. Meanwhile, all the other kids... So we get like the STEM squad. So one of my worries this season was, right, in this episode they introduced the STEM squad, which is like all the other science nerds from the school. All characters we have actually seen before. Like, most of these characters showed up in the background of season 1. I want to say, like, one of the guy whose name I don't remember had, like, a speaking role in the first episode. But they all were there, right? Technically, these aren't new characters. They just have speaking lines for the first time. I was originally worried that they were just replacing the volleyball squad with these characters. But then, actually, luckily, the volleyball squad does show up in the prom episode. So we'll talk about that then. I got a lot to say about that prom episode, man. But, while all the STEM squad is having fun making a robot, Lunella is just suffering because the Wakandan science teacher hates her robot and hates everything she does. So she's working herself to death to try to impress the new science teacher, whose name I do not remember. God, I fucking hate this final boss. But yeah, no matter how hard she tries, she can't impress her. Everything's going wrong. And so she eventually, calls it quits and everything. Or she eventually she makes something passable. And then, the stress starts to get to her. And eventually, she's in she's in like the semifinals. And in the semifinals, her robot breaks. And it causes her to have a full-on mental breakdown. Which, I mean, okay, I guess in hindsight, now that I'm thinking about it, right, I mentioned earlier that they kind of don't bring up her mental issues with the Molecule Man until the season finale. And technically they don't, but the fact that she has a full-on, like, panic attack here, and, it's Casey and the grandmother who have to, like, help her out, get her out of it, I get, okay, you know what, I guess in hindsight, they do actually address that. They do at least have one other instance of it, which is, I think, for the best. And meanwhile, right as she's having the panic attack, of course, a supervillain comes in, and they use Big Wheel. Yeah, they surprisingly enough this season use some Spider-Man villains. Fucking Big Wheel shows up. He's red instead of yellow, and he's got like a weird like mustache, and he kind of, what does he remind me of? I can't think. I'm gonna say Doug the Bounty Hunter, but that's not it. They use Big Wheel, and I was like, fucking, that's cool. Because you see him at the very beginning of the episode, and I was like, oh, that's probably just a throwaway joke. And then he shows up at the very end, and another thing I like is that Lunella doesn't beat him. The rest of the STEM squad beats him, right? Lunella's having a panic attack while that's going on. She doesn't even fight him. I actually think that's more interesting. I think it's more interesting to have to have somebody else take care of the villain while Lunella deals with her own mental issues. I want to say Devil also helps. But no, that's actually great. And then, yeah, afterwards, the science teacher apologizes and was like, hey, tough love was how I was taught. And in hindsight, I didn't like that either. And I was wrong to use it on you. And then she reveals that no, she didn't just come to the school randomly. She was actually here to try to recruit Lunella for like a Wakandan science project. And that, Lunella's like, oh, I'll keep in contact if you ever need me. I hope they bring that up in the next season, right? And I want the show to have 100 seasons. Well, 6 seasons in a movie. I hope the show gets 6 seasons in a movie, and I hope this is something they bring up again, right? It'd be really weird for them to just throw this away. But no, I do like this. I do think this was a good episode. The next one, The Devil You Know, is, this is Lunella's off on, like, a family road trip, and Devil can't come. So, Devil goes on his own adventures, where he meets, the DC Super Pets. The one thing I do like, is, one of the Super Pets is Redwing. If you don't know, Redwing is, the Falcon's sidekick, who, in the MCU, it's just a robot, but in the comics, it was like an actual bird that had psychic powers. So it was actually cool to see comic-accurate Redwing, and at least more comic-accurate. The one weird thing I will say about this episode is that all the super pets are able to talk except for Devil. Like, Devil, you know, just sounds like his normal self. But all the other super pets are able to speak English. And, like, it's clear that when they speak English, like, humans can understand them. And I was kind of... They could have let Devil talk. You know, I'm sure whoever voices him can do a decent approximation of what he would sound like if he could talk. I would have been fine with that change, right? As kind of like a one-off episode thing. But yeah, there's like the super pets are... The one I remember is a horse voiced by Cree Summers, who I recognized instantly, right? Of course, it's Cree Summers. She's one of the best voice actresses ever. I recognized her instantly. There's like a Chihuahua who has like a earthquake something or other. Who's the owner, right? The superhero Goliath, who she's like the sidekick of, is voiced by Giancarlo Esposito, if I'm correct. That sounds right in my... I want to say that was him. Which, that really surprised me, but I'm like, okay, you know what? Sure. Right? He doesn't really do much, but, you know. And then there's a goat that I think has something to do with Thor, maybe. Or, you know, it's one of the screaming goats from Thor Ragnarok. And then there's like, and yeah, I think that's all of them, right? Red Wing, the Chihuahua, and you know, of course, they're like, oh, they're sidekicks. They feel rejected, unloved. But of course, the twist is that, right, eventually they start doing evil, but Devil tries to stop them, and that's when the Goliath guy comes in and reveals that no, the sidekicks were actually loved all along. That when he was talking about moving, that, you know, the thing that sets the Chihuahua off is that the superhero was like retiring to Florida, but then you find out no, he was actually retiring his mom to Florida, and that's the only reason they were doing this. It ends with a happy ending, but yeah, it was an okay episode. We had to have at least one Devil themed episode, but I definitely liked Little Devil on Your Shoulder in the first season better. I think that had funnier jokes. Even though in the next episode we do actually see the Little Devil again. So this one is all about the pet. You know, in the first season, it was established that Pops, his hobby is dog shows. So in this one, they actually go to the dog show, and they're here to see like Foo and her owner, who's like running the dog show. But Pops finds this like weird blue alien dog that Lunella is convinced is like some sort of alien who is like mind controlling the other dogs. So she's trying to like expose it while, you know, everything else, well, the dog show stuff is going on because, you know, nobody else knows. And so they eventually it's revealed that no, the dog is an alien, but it's not actually evil, and it walks on two legs, it's able to speak. It's part of a group called the Guard Dogs, and it's voiced by David fucking Tennant, the Doctor. You know, I mean, he sounds like Scrooge, right? It's, you know, he does the Scottish accent, the same one he did for Scrooge McDuck. So it sounds just like him. But, you know, and the reason why he recruited Pops was because he needed someone of pure soul, right? Someone who truly loves dogs to undo the villain's mind control. And, you know, in the end, it all works out. But in order to sneak into the dog show, they disguise Devil like a dog. And I thought, oh, that's very funny. You know, I was like, oh, that's a very cute detail. Right, give me a second. But yeah, it was okay. I don't know. Are the plots more cliche this season? I don't know. Like, in some... Because, you know, I've definitely seen this story... Like, I can think of the regular show did this exact same plot, but instead of being an alien dog, it was a gangster pig. So, yeah, I've definitely seen this before. But, you know, David Tennant's cool. We get a heist episode where Lunella and the Stim Club, they're at a museum, and there's this, like, Kree crystal that's going to, like, destroy the island of Manhattan by, like, flooding it. So they have to stop it. And, you know, so I don't even think Moon Girl's in the episode. And they kind of shoehorn Devil into the episode. if I'm being honest. Like, he's just kind of, like, they wanted him in the plot, so they find, like, a really kind of contrived way to get him in there. Right, where he's like, oh, he's a patron of the arts. But, yeah, it's kind of, is it the weakest episode of the season? Maybe? I mean, I do like the STEM Club characters. This is the bit where Lunella tells the kid, like, hey, you gotta believe in yourself. Right? Like, the falcon trusts its wings, because the one nerdy kid is, like, you know, distrusting of his own abilities. But, you know, in the end, it all kind of works out. They get their happy ending. They're able to... They do, like, a heist, right? One of the kids plans this whole heist, and then it seemingly fails, but then you find out, no, the heist actually worked, that they switched the crystal, and Devil was able... That they basically had Devil eat the crystal, and they were able to switch it out with a fake one. It's a heist episode. I've seen heist episodes done better. But I do... There's a... Okay, so... When we talked about that Spider-Man show from a few months ago, the 2017? The one Marvel Spider-Man, you know, not Spectacular, not the Family Guy Spider-Man, but, you know, that one Spider-Man show, I want to say it was just called Marvel Spider-Man. I cannot remember the year. But there was a Spider-Man show, and in the big, like, criticism video I saw of it, yeah, it's just Spider-Man 2017. So in, like, the big video criticizing that show, one of the points they bring up is that they really struggle to give Peter Parker non-superhero friends. That, right, everyone in that show has to be a superhero. Miles Morales has to be a superhero. Gwen Stacy has to be a superhero. Anya Corzone has to be a superhero. Right, that Spider-Man can't just have normal human friends. Everyone's got to be a superhero. And, like, that's one of the... And, like, that same thing is true of the Family Guy. Is it Ultimate Spider-Man? Right, same thing is true of that show as well. That, like, oh, Spider-Man can't just have normal friends. Oh, his friends have to be, you know, Kid Nova and... fucking... You know, other shit like that. Like, for some reason, writers can't figure out how to make Spider-Man have non-superhero friends. But I feel like this show kind of... Right? This show is like, no, what if we actually just give the character non-superhero friends? And she does not... Like, they're still doing something, but at no point does she actually pretend to be Moon Girl. Right? The entire episode, it's just Lunella in the STEM Club. So yeah, it's just something that popped into the back of my head after watching the episode, where I was like, yeah, you know, that's a good point. They don't have to just do all that bullshit. Alright, the next episode, if I can get it to load... The Spider-Man show was okay. The next episode was Roller Jam. This one was pretty great. So, it's all... So, Roller Jam was mentioned in the first season... That it's basically like the roller rings equivalent of like the Super Bowl, and it only happens once a year. So it's basically, we can assume it's been a year between season 1 and season 2, right? Because it happened in like the second or I want to say it was like the third episode of season 1. The Pops and all of them go, the one where Lunella runs the ring by herself. That's the Roller Jam episode. So yeah, we can assume it's been a year. And they're going back to Roller Jam. But this time they're hosting it. And, you know, it's people from all over the country here at Roller Jam. And Pops' old friend / now turned enemy is there as well. I want to find out the guy's name real quick. What is his name? It's not Vincent. It's Vernal. It's Vernal. There we go. So right, it's Pops and Vernal, and they hate each other. But you know, due to circumstances and everything, they end up like, oh, he's staying over with them. And they reveal that they're both big fans of Moon Girl. So Lunella concocts this plan to like, hey, well, what if you both get to hang out with Moon Girl and she helps end your feud? And she eventually learns their backstory. That originally, right, during the time, right, there weren't many places for them to do roller derby. Not roller derby, just skate. They'd have like a funk night or a Martin Luther King night, a Martin Luther King Jr. night. And still, they weren't allowed in. So they created the idea of starting their own roller ring for, people like them. But then they did like a big competition to win the money, and during it, Vernal fell, and Pops kind of hogged the limelight. So that was their big like falling out moment. And that all is explained way better than I just put it. Right? It's done really well. And now in the present, they're like, oh, well, let's settle this once and for all. We're going to have a race, a roller derby off. Again, they don't use roller derby, right? These aren't lesbians. And, they're going to have their big race. And there's this other kid who's, like, really into the race as well, who wants to race Lunella at Roller Jam. So he gets involved with Moon Girl. And, eventually the three have to team up to defeat this guy who trounces them. And his backstory is really lazy. Like, so there's this guy who wants to be the best athlete in the world. And he's now, like, taking on Lunella because, she's the best skater. But I'm kind of like, you find out, like, oh, he got his super suit from a garage sale. And it's like, that's just kind of lazy. And then they reuse it again in, like, a future episode. And I was like, really? But, but other than that, the two end up working together. They reconcile their differences, and all's well that ends well. The episode's a lot better than I'm explaining it. It works out pretty well. This episode probably has the best music in the season. I think it all works really well. It's very topical. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Finally, we get Dancing with Ourself. This is the prom homecoming episode. Instead of doing Enchantment Under the Sea, it's Enchantment Under the Moon. And the original plan is that the volleyball squad is going to go to the dance as friends. Which, God, this game. The volleyball squad, I like the characters. And I was kind of like, oh, are they being replaced by the STEM squad? Because the STEM squad's been in like 3 episodes. But the volleyball clubs, this is basically their first appearance this season. But I was glad they at least showed up. And so, they're all going to go to the dance as just friends, right? Casey's too busy organizing the dance. But then, one by one, they each get asked out. So now it's just Lunella on her own. And she tries asking Eduardo out, who is one of the characters I do know comes from the comics, right? Most of the human characters are made up for this show. Eduardo is not one of them. He's like the one exception. And, what does that mean for his larger character? No fucking idea. But, she asks him, he says no, and of course my thought is, like, just ask Kid Cree. But no, she doesn't do that. He still gets involved, but I'll explain that in a second. But, so it's Lunella all on her own, and, she's like, oh, well, I'll just go and dance on my own, dancing with myself. And she ends up doing that, and she's miserable, right? She ends up going to the bathroom to cry. And that's when Kid Cree calls and is like, hey, I'm running away from these moth people who like to torture me to mess with my dad, mess with me and my dad. Can you protect me? And she's like, yeah, let's go to this dance. Let's go hide out here. So that's exactly what they do. They go hide out in the dance. And, she's trying to, just have a good casual time. But he's a little bit, but he's like, oh, these moth people. He's really struggling. But overall, she's trying to, like, live out her, like, perfect dance experience. And it's just going all wrong. And then the moth people, of course, show up and crash the dance and everything. And then you get a moment, right? And, of course, Lunella and Kid Cree have a fight, right? Because he wants to leave and she doesn't. But you get a moment where it's Lunella and the volleyball kids are hiding underneath a table while the moth people attack. And she's like, oh, well, I just wanted to do all this dance stuff. I wanted to be like you. You guys are like the perfect couple here at this dance. And the volleyball girl, one of them, I can't remember any of these characters' names, if it isn't obvious. One of them literally says, like, oh, I'm just doing this because I think that's what you're supposed to do. Like, I kind of feel like it's too... Because they're 13. 14 at the oldest. And they're kind of like, oh, maybe I'm too old. Maybe I'm too young to date. I feel very inexperienced. I don't feel like I'm ready for this. I was just doing it because it's what we're supposed to do. Right? She's, like, very uncertain. And I really like that, right? Like, my big worries was that, like, Kid Kree is going to be, like, this romantic love interest. And this episode kind of squashes that. Of course, the entire time in the background, Eduardo is, like, super jealous of him. So, of course, we're going to have a love triangle eventually to deal with. But in this episode, no, it's actually a lot more casual. And they admit that, they can just be friends. So I really do like that. Of course, Lunella then goes out and saves Kid Kree from the Moth people. Right, she does, like, a final selfie trick to, like... Because the Moth guy wants to be, like, hip and cool, but nobody thinks he's hip and cool. And she's eventually able to get one over on him. And then, yeah, it just kind of... It's a very... And then eventually they're able to defeat the Moth people. What do they specifically do? She does something to defeat the Moth people, and it's like, oh, that makes sense. There's a really weird bit in this episode where, when, like, Casey's like, oh, somebody should go call Moon Girl, and she turns into, like, a puppet, and then Lunella turns into the puppet, and is like, I'll go get Moon Girl. It's, like, it's really kind of weird, but I don't know, they just do, it's, like, it's supposed to show, like, how stilted they are. But yeah, they do it twice in this episode. How the fuck do they defeat the Moth people? Do they just beat them up? It kind of looks like they just beat them up. And then in the end, they still have... Now that the Moth people are defeated, Lunella and Kid Kree share their little dance. But, this time it's just as friends. And, yeah, all's well that ends well. I liked it. I think it's a good take on the whole situation. Yeah, I was impressed. And then we get into the final two. So the penultimate episode is Lunella's out on patrol when she sees the superhero named Turbo, who Turbo has such a generic design that I was like, okay, is this character created just for this episode, or is this an actual Marvel character? Like, I knew, of course, it was a Marvel character, but, like, this is such a weird, random character. It kind of feels like, hey, this is the one character Marvel would give them. So they just kind of took it. So, this, we end up, right, she helps out Turbo, who's fighting Silvermane. Silvermane is another Spider-Man villain. And, right, he's got his robot suit, which is starting to fail. So he thinks, oh, he'll steal Turbo's robot suit that she got from a garage sale, and she'll be able to use that to defeat him. You know what? It makes sense. You know what? Sure, fine. I get that. So that's the plan. And so, they end up, Lunella is trying to be, like, friends with Turbo. To, like, help him out, hope everything goes great. And it's just, she wants nothing to do with her, but eventually they're able to work together, and they're able to defeat they're able to defeat Silvermane. Lunella, meanwhile, is, like, shrugging off her family. Like, they're like, hey, let's go to Build-A-Bear together. Let's do family board game night. And she just doesn't want anything to do with it. And eventually she gets into an argument with her family and, like, yells at them, like, oh, well, maybe I don't want to hang out with you anymore. Typical teenage angst stuff. And so she has that whole dilemma. And then, And then at some point, but yeah, they defeat Silvermane, but he breaks out of prison, which is, I think, when she yells at her family. And then you find out Silvermane has kidnapped Turbo's mom. Because you find out it's the mom's, right? Turbo never told her mom her secret identity. And, you know, she eventually ran away from home because they kept fighting. You know, it's all a metaphor for Lunella's own struggles. That, you know, Lunella's never been able to tell her parents. And now we're seeing, like, the repercussions of that. That if she continues to not tell her parents, right, she'll eventually grow apart from them. You know, it's a cautionary tale. So after all of that, right, they go to Turbo goes to save her mom, and you get this big moment where she's supposed to, like, oh, tell her your secret identity, and she just can't do it. But in the end, they're able to right, even though Silvermane, right, is able to convince Turbo to give up her suit, they're still able to defeat Turbo by downloading his brain into a Build-A-Bear bear that, you know, kind of looks like Lunella. That's how they're able to defeat him. It's really weird, but, you know, that's what they go with. And then, of course, the episode ends with Lunella finally telling her parent, or, you know, setting up that she's going to tell her parents that she is, in fact, Moon Girl. Good, big big setup. Oh, yeah, I'm all here for it. You better believe it. So that takes us to the final episode of the season. I need some more water. I don't know if we're going to be playing long enough to do that. So, in the final episode, you know what? This final boss fucking sucks. I fucking hate this. Give me a minute. I'll be right back. Alright, I have to go get a drink. And of course, this thing is still fucking broken. I wonder what I broke to make the mouths not work. I have no fucking idea. This is fucking awesome. Okay. Yeah, I go and got a drink. It sucks that I'm out of soda. Man, those bottled sodas may not have all been great, but some of them were good. Okay, so final episode time. Let's do this thing. So, the final episode, right, Lunella tells her family she's Moon Girl, and of course they don't believe her. They're like, oh no, that's not possible. Right, oh, ha ha ha, very funny, Lunella. And then Devil comes in and shows off and is like, hey, look, it's Devil Dinosaur. And that's finally the proof. And, you know, they're all worried about Lunella and everything. And they eventually figure out that Mimon knew the whole... Mimi knew the whole time. And that she's been hiding it. And they later on, they figure out her whole thing as well. Yeah, eventually she has to do some science shit with Lunella. But, you know, as she's, like, get ready to tell everybody. And, you know, the conversations, then, you know, it's moving along, but it's not going great. She eventually, that's right, as the conversation's going along, that's when the Molecule Man shows up. Right? As it turns out, right, he's sworn revenge against Lunella. So with everything that's happened, he's here for revenge. And he's not just going to make her hurt. Right? He's not just going to kill her. He's going to make her hurt by killing her family. So, right, all that, like, tension of her, like, worrying about, like, the Molecule Man, how he was easily able to beat her the last time. He's even stronger now, because, like, now he's able to manipulate his own molecules. So he's back for revenge. So all the family is trying to save Lunella and everything, but she's trying to fight the Molecule Man to, like, save them. And eventually they, like, right, she's originally, like, they're trying to run away, but then she busts back in, and they're like, oh, well, you know, his molecules are vibrating, so what if we slow him down? You know, they freeze him. So this is when Lunella and Mimi work together to make, like, a cooling thing, and they cover him in ice, but his rage is so red hot that he's able to break free again, and then and this entire time Devil is, like, locked out. But, you know, they're able to... Eventually, Devil, like, stalls him while the family, like, runs away. Because they get captured at some point, I know. But eventually, it just leaves Lunella alone with... Yeah, she gets separated from the rest of her family. Pops gets injured. And yeah, it just leaves her alone. She asks, you know, anybody to help her. She asks for the Beyonder's help. You know, she apologizes. And they could have totally had the Beyonder come in and save her. Like, that's totally something they've set up in this show. But no, actually, they don't do it. Right? Even though they could have done it, nope. Instead, she, you know, puts on her Moon Girl suit. Right? Makes sure her family is safe. And then she heads back out and basically has a fist fight with the Molecule Man. And they get into this big fist fight. You know, she tries freezing him again. And eventually, you know, well, she beats him. And I kind of wish she didn't beat him in, like, the traditional, like, punching him. Like, she eventually punches him down into, like, a puddle. I kind of wish he still overpowered her. But in her, like, last moment, she was able to, like, relate to him. And be like, no, I understand what you had was beautiful. And I understand why you're doing what you're doing. And, like, right, because eventually he comes to the conclusion that, right, he's filled with rage. He wants revenge. But that's not actually, like, revenge isn't gonna make him feel any better. Instead, you know, he's got to use his power to fix things. They eventually basically come to an understanding. And yeah, that makes sense. Right? Right, Molecule Man was alone in the universe. He was unloved, and that's why he built his whole resort paradise, because it was a place people would go and find joy, and they liked him there, and then the Beyonder destroyed it. So yeah, they eventually come to that understanding, and it's all a pretty good fight scene, even still. Right, like, I may say, like, oh, you know, I kind of wish Lunella didn't win, but I still do think it's a good fight scene. All around. There's a lot of there's like an angel metaphor there that works really well, because he, like, destroys her wings, but then she's able to, you know, have her own. And then yeah, coming to this understanding, he agrees to he fixes her house, he fixes Pops' arm, and it's like, hey, you know, all's well that ends well. Now he's gonna go back to his own planet and, you know, start anew. Fix his life, and everything's gonna go great. But then, of course, as our final bit, right, they're like, oh yeah, you know, good job, Lunella, we still love you, right? Yeah, you know, now that we know you're Moon Girl. But then the mom's like, yeah, you know, you may have saved the day today, but you won't be, right, you're not going to be Moon Girl anymore. Right, that's kind of what it comes to, is that the cliffhanger for the end of the season is that Lunella's not going to be Moon Girl anymore. It's an okay cliffhanger, you know? Like, so this season is 2 episodes shorter than the previous season. I don't know if that means we're going to get more episodes, or if this truly is the end. Or if, you know, if this is the end of it all, but I really enjoyed it. I feel like, yeah, you know, the finale brings the season full circle. You know, she finally tells her family the truth, and she finally has her confrontation with the Molecule Man, where she's able to, you know, she's able to come to accept herself, her limitations, and, you know, she's able to work through them. So I feel like it's a pretty solid ending, and yeah, I enjoyed the season. Like I said, I do not think this is as good as season 1, but I still really do enjoy it, and I definitely want more, right? Whether it's more of this season, or whether it's a third season, right? I hope whatever it is, I know there's a whole thing in streaming where, like, you're supposed to watch, like, a streaming show within the first 72 hours, because after the first 72 hours, right, the first 7 are the most important. I want to say Adam Conover explained that. The first 72 hours of a show are the most important when it comes to, like, a streaming something. Those are what the network cares about. So, right, I made sure to try to get through all of this as quick as possible, so that way, you know, the network knows, like, hey, I care about this. Because I legitimately thought we were only going to get 1 episode a week. So the fact that we got an entire season kind of blows my mind. The fact that we have talked about this season for an hour also kind of blows my mind. Like, sure, it's no Quentin Reviews Victorious, but we're fucking I think I saw the most recent Sam and Cat one was like 9 hours. To be fair, I have made videos out, not that long, but my Legend of Korra videos, I want to say the 4th season of Legend of Korra was, the 4th season of Legend of Korra was, I want to say 4 hours. It's pretty long. So yeah. So hope for the next season. The one thing I really want, so I know I said Secret Wars, and I could totally see, I know the 90s animated Spider-Man show did Secret Wars. And if they do Secret Wars, I kind of want it to be like that. But my other thought, the other thing I really want, that I think would be cool, there we go. The other thing that I think would be cool, I want a 2-parter with Miss Marvel. I want them to bring in Amon Villani to guest star as Miss Marvel, and I want them to do a 2-parter. And I even have the plot. The plot is, so one of Miss Marvel's villains is like a clone of Thomas Jefferson with a parrot head. I think he has a supervillain name, but I, for the life of me, cannot remember it. I just remember he's Thomas Jefferson, and he's not actually even like the big mastermind. He's got like some sidekick who's the big mastermind. But his original plan, it was to use people as batteries. So my idea for a season 3 episode is there are people disappearing from the IS 833, whatever Lunella school is. People are disappearing, so she ends up tracking them down to Jersey. So she goes over to Jersey, and there she meets Miss Marvel, finds out that people are also disappearing from her school, specifically like Nakia, who gets kidnapped in the original comics. And so the two end up working together to defeat Thomas Jefferson. And along the way, you find out that Thomas Jefferson, in his like experiments to like make energy, has unleashed Aftershock. You know, the villain from the first episode of Moon Girl? She's back as well. And the two have teamed up. They're turning people into batteries, Matrix style. So you get a 2-parter where Miss Marvel and Moon Girl team up to defeat Thomas Jefferson and Aftershock. I think that would be a great plot. That's what I want to see. That's my dream. Admittedly, yes, I am a huge Miss Marvel stan. Amon Villani does a great job as the character. I think she'd do a great job voice acting it. We are MCU, right? Again, this show is MCU adjacent, so they could totally pull that off. That's my big hope for season 3. Above all else, that's what I really want. Anything else? Not that I can think of. I'm really enjoying the show. I want more of it. I want to see where it goes. So yeah, great times. Great times all around. And yeah, give me give me 4 more seasons in a movie. Yeah, give me a full-on fucking animated movie, man. The show's great. So yeah, I think that's all I got to say about Moon Girl. So I guess that takes us to the end. So the final boss of Turnip Boy here fucking sucks. I was really enjoying the game up to that point. That final boss was awful. The fact that he could... Okay, so if we could just, you know, we go fight the final boss, we die. If we could just go back and try again, I would be fine with that. But the fact that we have to refight all 4 bosses, then we get just one chance to fight the final boss again, awful. I really hated fighting all 4 of those bosses again. We only lost like once, right? I think only one of them killed us. No, maybe we died twice. I can't remember. Fighting all 4 bosses again, even though it actually didn't take that long, like it was only like 5 minutes, that's still 5 minutes just to get one more shot at the final boss. The final boss sucks because he kills you in 3 hits. Right, up until that point, every enemy only does like, at most, the strongest enemy we had seen so far did 1 heart of damage. Right, there are a lot of enemies that done like a quarter of a heart, right, half a heart. That one, the final boss, does 2 hearts of damage. Maybe, I think it's 2, it might be 2.5. Whatever it is, he kills you in 3 hits. And he's got, you know, big lasers, quick shooting lightning, fucking swirly rings of death. The final boss sucks. Right? He just kills you way too quickly. The fact that you have to run all the way back through to each of the previous bosses. All the health stations have been removed. Right? The only health station they left is the one right before the sandwich. Right? The second to last boss. Other than that, all the other health stations have been removed. There are rocks blocking the way, and the gun doesn't do good at shooting the rocks. Right? That's why I had a sword there at the end. Because you needed that sword to beat up the rocks. That final boss was awful. Other than that, I enjoyed the game. It's got problems. It's specifically very laggy on Switch. There's a few bugs. I felt like near the end, we were there. All the rooms, the elevator rooms, were pretty repetitive at the end. Like, the fact that we kept getting the pentagram one kind of sucked. But other than that, I really enjoyed the game. Honestly, if it wasn't for that final boss, I would give it probably like an 8 out of 10. With that final boss, I'm only going to give it a 7. Yeah, let's be generous and give it a 7. So yeah, I think that's where we're going to end off. Yeah. No, that took me so fucking long. Next, right, we're done with pre-recorded stuff, finally. I actually didn't know if we were going to beat Turnip Boy tonight, but the fact that, because I had so much video to go through, but no, we actually did end up doing it. Next week we will be back with Splatoon. It's been a while since we've done Splatoon. We've got one more episode. Or, you know, not one more episode. We've got the Splatfest next week. If Frey doesn't win the Splatfest, like, what the fuck are we doing? It's Friday versus Saturday versus Sunday. Frey is Saturday. If Frey doesn't win, what the fuck are we doing, guys? Like, come on. It might be rigged, right? I don't know if it's rigged against her or what. But that's the Splatfest. Did I mention I was sick? Right, the reason we didn't do this yesterday is because I was sick. And God, it's all just caught up to me. But I got a juice box. I went to buy apple juice, and they didn't have any. Like, I placed like an online order, and I was like, oh, I'll get some apple juice. Like, this one specific brand. And they didn't have any, but they had juice box versions of it. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it, sure. It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, so we'll be back next week with that. Hopefully Nintendo Direct. Hopefully a Nintendo Direct next week. God, I would love to see it. But if not, you know, we'll be back with normal in chat. And then the Splatoon DLC is the week after that. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.